Well, it finally happened. It was probably a few years too late if we're being honest, but K-pop Twitter, Stan Twitter, has all finally figured out who Filthy Frank is. I don't know how it took them this long. I thought was a very clear distinction. Like, you could figure it out literally instantly if you saw a picture of both of them or actually knew anything about both of these characters or whatever you want to call them in general, but maybe I was expecting a little bit too much out of K-pop Twitter when it came down to this whole situation, because obviously just now figuring it out is, in my mind, mind-boggling, but yeah, it finally happened, and it resulted in a trending hashtag, which was hashtag Joji is over party. Now, if you don't know what Joji is, essentially that is now what Filthy Frank does. The whole Filthy Frank thing was ended because it actually had some health repercussions that he was dealing with. It was like messing up his voice and stuff like that, and his doctor just recommended that he stop doing it in general. And he went and built a very established music career. I mean, it's actually been kind of cool to watch him transform. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the music. I don't really listen to Joji or anything like that. No knocks against it, just not my kind of music personally. He does have a few okay songs, I will say that, but the way that he's been able to transform his whole career like that, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, it's kind of a very unique situation in all reality, because with the current climate of society and the world in general, the fact that he's been able to hold out this long it's been insane. And if you don't know what Filthy Frank is, honestly, I feel bad for you, because this was like peak YouTube at this point with Filthy Frank. It had been going on for years and everything, and unfortunately it came to an end. But personally, I have three favorite videos from Filthy Frank that I recommend every single person watch. The Gentleman's Guide is definitely up there. It's one of my three favorite. It's fucking hilarious. The Pimp My Ride video with Terrell Pierre, that's hilarious. One of my favorite YouTube videos of all time. And then the Filthy Frank High School Survival Guide, which you can only find re-uploads of because I'm pretty sure YouTube took it down for a community violation, but there's plenty of other videos out there to watch, honestly. I mean, I think the Deadly Twister videos are hilarious too. But basically just an internet character that kind of, makes fun of a bunch of different things on the internet, and I guess in society he's known for being quote-unquote racist. He's, quote, anti-PC and anti-couth and all that and whatnot, and it is just a character, keep in mind. It's not like this is, George's actual personality really showing through on camera or anything. He's making fun of all these different things. But then again, people for some reason just don't realize that kind of stuff anymore. It's thrown out the window, right? It's just, well, he did it, so therefore that's what happens. But it's not really the case in most of these situations. And of course, with all that going on, K-pop Twitter, they're notorious for this kind of stuff, but they got a hold of it and they just ran with it, right? There was no further thought put into it. There was no, I guess, research or anything. I'm still completely befuddled that it took them this long to find out what was going on here. And this hashtag started, and thankfully, the hashtag kind of got hijacked. I think a lot of these do at this point. It's because they try to cancel pretty much anyone for fucking anything at this point. It's the reason why the K-pop community on Twitter has such a negative reception, because of them spamming the fan cams everywhere, just being annoying. And then they try and cancel somebody every single fucking day. Like, it's not anything new for them to try and do something like this. And it's almost always them trying to cancel somebody for something stupid that doesn't even make sense, for something that isn't really something that is worthy of being canceled over. It's just an extremely fucking toxic mentality that gets spewed out all over Twitter for the entire community to have to deal with. And then they wonder why people don't really have a good perception of that community. And the thing is not all K-pop stans are bad. I think a lot of people do realize this. I know it's kind of like a running meme on Twitter to just hate the K-pop community. I really don't. I don't hate the K-pop fans. I don't hate the stans, unless they're just being annoying assholes for the sake of being annoying assholes, which a lot of them are. And that's where the problem really comes down, is that K-pop it's an expansive community. I mean, it's a global thing, right? It's like pretty much any other genre of music when it comes to the reach that it has. But the problem is the 80% of K-pop fans who are actually okay, they're not causing any trouble, they just happen to really enjoy something, are completely fucking drowned out by the 20% of them who think that their word is law, who think that everything they say matters, and they just completely overrun the other side of the community, start all these stupid trends, spam the fan cams everywhere, and just be annoying in general, knowing full well that they're only harming their community. They're not broadening the horizons of it in any way, just because because they can. And other K-pop fans now have to deal with the fallout of that. Other K-pop fans who, at this point, they're not the ones wanting to cancel Joji in this situation. They just want to listen to their favorite artist, but they can't do that in peace anymore. They can't tweet about it in peace anymore because a bunch of 13-year-olds on the internet now want to cancel a man for something that he has very publicly been part of. Because Joji does nothing to hide the fact that he was Filthy Frank. He's been very vocal about his participation in that entire thing. It's not like it's something that he hides and tries to keep secret. This is something that he's very public about. And in reality, I don't understand how you can cancel somebody for something that they willingly own, for something that they're completely accepting of the fact that they did, Like, how the fuck are you going to cancel somebody and shut down all public participation around that subject because that person did something you deem wrong when they admit that they did that and they admit that it was wrong and they were completely just joking around the whole time and built a fan base around it? Like, you're never going to cancel somebody for doing something like that. The only time you can cancel somebody in those situations is for you personally, or maybe like your little group, your little clique, because no one gives a fuck, no one cares. It's just a very self-righteous, braggadocious action that comes from this very toxic segment of this community. And the thing I find funny is if you literally know how to read, you can just go to the About section of virtually any YouTube channel. Most of them, they actually do kind of describe what they're doing, right? It's not like some people, of course, they just put some bullshit like, oh, subscribe, hey, haha, hope you're having a fucking wonderful day. But some people actually do kind of try and describe what they're doing with their videos, and Filthy Frank is definitely no exception to this rule. Filthy Frank is the embodiment of everything a person should not be. He is anti-PC, anti-social, and anti-couth. He behaves and reacts excessively to everything expressly to highlight the ridiculousness of racism, misogyny, legalism, injustice, ignorance, and other social blights. He also sets an example to show how easy it is in social media for any zany material to gain traction and following simply by sharing unsavory opinions and joking about topics that many find offensive. There is no denying that the show is terribly offensive, but this terrible offensiveness is a deliberate and unapologetic parody of the whole social media machine and a reflection of the human microcosm that social media is. Nothing about that is attempting to hide anything that's going on there. Nothing about that makes really any fake excuse. I mean, I think it's a very legitimate definition. While yes, some of the stuff that he's portrayed is definitely wrong and offensive, like he admits, it doesn't mean he doesn't have the right to portray that, and he doesn't have the right to joke about that, because Filthy Frank, in my opinion, is one of the actual funny examples of those kinds of things. A lot of people, they just do shit for the sake of doing it, and then they just say, oh, it's a joke afterwards. Filthy Frank is actually funny. He actually made comedy with what he did. There's a very clear and distinct difference between those two types of content and those two types of jokes. And you would think that these people wouldn't even have to trend this stupid fucking hashtag because this definition exists. It's public. It's right there on the channel. The whole thing that you're complaining about, there's literally a whole segment of that channel dedicated to explaining to you idiots what this is. Yet here we are having to debate this. And then the funny thing is you see things like this. The way these weird A ** because saying ass on Twitter would just be stupidly offensive. Filthy Frank stands there trying to bully me is hilarious. Y'all are fat virgins that play PC games all day and soak in your own must/piss. I'd be embarrassed to be y'all. Keep in mind that no one is trying to bully her. They're just simply making a point against what they're saying. And most of these toxic ass people can't be told anything different. Like, you can't make a point to them. You can't tell them that they're being stupid because it offends them. But we're being pretty judgmental when we call people fat virgins that play PC games all day and soak in their own must and piss and tell them that you'd be embarrassed to be them, right? But yet this is the same crowd of people who preach acceptance of their ideas. They want to be accepted because they're part of the K-pop community. They want everyone to accept what they're doing. They want to be accepted. But then it's okay to completely just decimate other people for what they have to do and what they say. This is the acceptance crowd right here, in my opinion. I think this tweet pretty much sums it up very well. And I find it funny that telling them that they're being stupid is bullying them, but them literally quite out of the blue finding someone pretty much every single day to try and ruin their entire careers, to take away their livelihoods, to break down their social life, to in every term every term you can imagine, just fucking cancel somebody because of something that happened 7 years ago that was very clearly a joke. That's not bullying. That's not bullying whatsoever. Trying to ruin someone's life because they played a character 7 years ago? No, that's not bullying. But hey, when you tell me that I'm being stupid and what I'm doing is not right, then you're bullying me. It's funny to me, man. I can't imagine. Honestly, I can't imagine being this kind of person. Where, like, you have such a good life, honestly, that your biggest worry is to get on Twitter every day and to try and cancel somebody. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta have it pretty good You gotta have it pretty well off for that to be the focus of your life. People who have legitimate, like, big issues going on in their life, like they gotta worry about every single day saving all the money that they can in order to eat the next day. You would never see them on Twitter complaining about a fucking internet meme and trying to ruin somebody's life over it and destroy everything that they have because of it. So like I said, I don't think the entire K-pop community should be hated. There is very clearly examples, and even in this situation, there's examples of people who just, they don't really go with the toxic group. Plenty of K-pop fans defended Joji. They stood up in defense of Joji because they realize what's happening here. Okay? So those, I think, are good examples of what the K-pop community should be, but unfortunately the trend in and of itself just highlights that other side of it, and it's ridiculous and insane, and people need to just stop. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below for fresh official Optimus merch. Thank you to my channel members, your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, not canceling Filthy Frank, and signing out.